All right, I'm going to hit record here. Cool. Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. Today, we have a number of exemplary volunteers and leaders within IEEE to tell us about the diversity and outreach initiatives within IEEE. Over this conversation, our panelists will explore how professional organizations can support diversity and outreach, as well as hear how we can inspire outreach in our local communities and organizations. To go through and briefly introduce our panelists here, first and foremost, we have Nancy Austin. Nancy is the director of IEEE-HKN, the honor society within IEEE, and has held the role since 2012. In cooperation with the Board of Governors, she has established numerous programs and service opportunities to increase the value of membership and to strengthen local chapters. Some of her accomplishments include developing the HKN Experience, an 11-day online conference, the annual Student Leadership Conference, Pathways to Industry program, the Bridge Magazine, the HKN Awards program, and with over 30 years of associate management experience, has grown IEEE-HKN to 200,000 members and 266 chapters worldwide. Moving on to our next panelist, we have Sampath. Sampath is a globally renowned technologist, best known for his technological innovations in addressing global humanitarian and sustainable development challenges. As the 2021 IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee Chair, Sampath spearheads the global strategy and portfolio of sustainable development and humanitarian engineering programs to deliver impactful programs at grassroots levels. He is the founder and president of The Brahmin, a humanitarian program delivering next generation societal innovations to achieve sustainable development goals and benefit marginalized communities globally. Sampath was recently accredited with the 2020 IEEE Outstanding Young Professional Award. He currently works as a senior technology and program manager leader with the Alexa Artificial Intelligence Group at Amazon. Moving on to our next panelist, we have Dr. Charlotte Blair. Dr. Blair is the North American Technical Support Manager for Electrical and Electromagnetism Simulation Tools at ANSYS. She received her PhD in EE from NJIT and her BSEE from Rutgers University. She currently serves as the Tool Working Group Chair for the IEEE Industry Engagement Committee, the Region 1 Coordinator for IEEE Women in Engineering, and Conference Chair for the IEEE WIE Forum East. Dr. Blair is also an avid volunteer within IEEE-HKN. Charlotte's passion is the promotion for electrical engineering and STEM activities. Next up, we have Christopher Sanderson. Christopher Sanderson leads the Siemens Energy and Automation AMD business unit as the marketing consultant / process manager for North America. He graduated from Prairie View A&M University with a BS in mechanical engineering technology and was previously a military officer in the U.S. Army Air Defense Artillery, serving 2 honorable tours over his distinguished 8 years of service. Chris remains a prominent leader in IEEE, where he holds a number of positions. His exceptional leadership has recently earned him the nationally accredited IEEE USA John Meredith Professional Service Award. Out of all of his achievements and recognitions he has received, he is most proud of his IEEE STEM mentoring efforts. And last, and certainly not least, we have a wonderful moderator, Dr. Karen Panetta. Dr. Panetta was the first female electrical engineer to receive tenure in Tufts Electrical and Computer Engineering Department and continues to promote the interests of women in her field. From 2007 to 2009, she was the worldwide director for IEEE Women in Engineering, where she served and also served as editor-in-chief of the IEEE Women in Engineering magazine. She's the faculty advisor to the Tufts student chapter of both the Society of Women Engineers and IEEE, and is the founder of the nationally accredited Nerd Girls programs, which promotes engineering disciplines to young students. She is an IEEE Fellow and was awarded the 2013 IEEE Award for Distinguished Ethical Practices for exemplary contributions and leaderships in developing ethics and societal responsibilities in students. In 2011, President Barack Obama awarded Dr. Panetta the Presidential Award for Science and Engineering Education and Mentoring. Without further ado, please help me in welcoming our amazing panelists.
Yay, wow, we've got a great company. Thank you, Joseph. That's wonderful. And boy, you read off so many things. That was great. So I want to welcome everybody here today. And, you know, one of the first things I wanted to talk about, since we have so many great IEEE volunteers here, you know, I talked about in my how IEEE, I was a computer engineer and I became a student member of IEEE. And my first experience with that was from a student professional awareness conference that was held at Boston University. And a wonderful mentor came in, Jim Watson, flew in from Ohio to meet with a group of us. And he was so inspirational. It sealed my deal that I would stay with IEEE forever. So everybody always says, oh, you know, you got where you are because of, you know, the accomplishments, professional development. And it was like, I got where I was because IEEE groomed me to be here and not the other way around. So not the job experiences, but the people and volunteers in IEEE. So I want to start by talking about how IEEE, different entities in IEEE can help enrich our careers. And I wanted to start with Sampath because humanitarian and volunteerism is like the core of HKN, and it's the core of you know, the Humanitarian Activities Committee. So Sam, can you talk a little bit about the programs and how students can get involved and why they're so impactful?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Penetta, and greetings to all the panelists. Pretty excited to be here, and thanks to BU, you know, HKN chapter for inviting us. So, great question. I'm going to answer this question both in two aspects. One, from wearing the hat of humanitarian activity chair. Second thing is the even more, you know, exciting role as an HKN member, you know, long-standing HKN member. So, I'm going to answer this question from both the capacity. So, humanitarian activity, you know, basically, like as the name implies, right? Like, let's take a step back first, understand why do we need, what does IEEE do with humanitarian activities, right? IEEE is completely, you know, engineers, you know, why should we even talk about humanity or humanitarian engineering? What is relevant here, right? So the answer to that question, right, is basically lies in the IEEE's larger mission, which is basically advancing technology to serve humanity, right? So there is a direct correlation. We as an engineer, we all, you know, innovate novel solutions, and through our technical skills, we come out with solutions which touch upon the lives of people. Whereas the humanitarian, you know, activities committee, which I am chairing right now for IEEE, it's a global committee which offers a portfolio of programs which actually provides a direct opportunity for you know, engineers to directly work on problems which are very, very relevant to your local community, right? Let's talk about some examples here, right? For example, you may have a local school where you know, they may be lacking electricity. You may have a marginalized you know, population who may never had access to clean water. So these are several avenues. Like the scale of the problem is very significant, and I feel like as an engineer, not only we can solve these problems through our technical skills, but also through our leadership skills. So that's exactly what humanitarian activity does. We provide opportunities for students, especially, to participate in projects where you can work directly with communities, learn the needs of the local communities, apply your technical skills to solve them. Now, the beauty here is that we also provide funding for you to do that, up to $5,000. For example, we have a special COVID program. If you devise a solution relevant to COVID, your project can get funded up to 5,000, right? Now, let me interconnect this directly to HKN. Now, what we do as awesome HKN members, we apply not only our technical skills, but character, attitude, and scholarship. These are the three pillars of HKN, and that directly aligns with HKN. So it's very interconnected, you know. So today, as a student, you know, you may be taking a lot of courses, you know, in your program, and you may be getting credit. But what this opportunities provides to you is that you can actually now work on a real world project, and where you can apply your skills and you get to learn other skills which are relevant and important to onboard the industry. For example, you may be working with, you know, the local community to understand, you know, their needs. You are learning the aspects of program management. You are writing, you are listening to them, and you are putting your communication style. So you are working on improving your communication skills. So there are several aspects which are very valuable to onboard the industry. So it provides a holistic package for you to, you know, not only apply your technical skills, but also to get ready for industry and also emphasis on the stronger value that HKN provides or advises its member towards.
Thank you for that. So Nancy, you know, we heard Sam refer so many times to HKN in there. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, we talk about when we think of our honor society, we think of it's just about grades, and HKN is definitely not that. And Sam's talking about, you know, all the humanitarian activities that we're doing. Can you talk a little bit about some of the projects that our HKN students are doing and the impact they're making and how it actually helps build diversity and inclusion?
Well, great. Thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate it. It's always great to be with this panel, a really wonderful group of people, and I'm delighted to be here today. HKN, or Eta Kappa Nu, is the Honor Society of IEEE. I think that's been established. But what are we as an honor society? What does that mean? So yes, students are inducted or invited to be HKN, and sometimes professionals, based on their scholastic achievements. So you do have to be a top engineering student in a program in an engineering school with an Eta Kappa Nu chapter, and that can be worked out. You do have to work really hard. Nobody's given Eta Kappa Nu, everybody earns it. Eta Kappa Nu, the purpose of Eta Kappa Nu is not grades only. It's not just scholastic accomplishments. It's the two other things that Sam mentioned. It's attitude and character. A lot of times people want to replace attitude with leadership, and certainly we're talking about leadership. But those of you, and I know I'm surrounded with some people in business here on this panel, attitude is everything. And how you approach issues and a problem, how you approach your career, how you approach work, how you approach life is all about attitude. So we talk a lot about attitude and leadership, and then character, ethical behavior, how we reach out, how we do what we do, not just what you do, how you do what you do, and why you do what you do. So Eta Kappa Nu, yes, is at its core, it is kind of an award that you win as a student. You're recognized for your scholastic accomplishments. But it comes with a commitment, and the commitment is to improve yourself and others. And so when we talk about outreach and we talk about how do we help our communities, Eta Kappa Nu comes with that obligation to help improve your chapter, others, to improve your department and university, and to improve your local community. And where that really is positive for you as an engineer and for a future leader, because again, these students that become Eta Kappa Nu are going to graduate with engineering degrees. A good percentage are going on to get graduate degrees or higher degrees. Karen, you know this very well as a graduate dean. Eta Kappa Nu students are highly motivated to continue their education. But the other things that they learn and establish are what you don't learn in engineering school. And when I talk to industry, some of this stuff is the most important stuff. So as we challenge and work with our chapters and our student members to go out in their communities and look at where they can be of service. So there are tutoring, lots of tutoring that happens. And you know, funny, this year in the year of the pandemic was very difficult for students. And Eta Kappa Nu chapters and students really stepped up and did lots of virtual tutoring, online counseling, how they help students succeed. So we're not talking about honor students helping other honor students. We're talking about them help others succeed. So other class in their junior and senior classes and underclassmen, mentoring them, that social aspect, that which you missed during the pandemic so much. How did they play a very important role in the mental health aspect of their fellow students and in their communities, in their departments? Our chapters go out and they mentor in the community. They go out and they work with K through 12, maybe they work in community colleges. How do we inspire others to consider and take on engineering careers? Because we are very committed to the diversity, equity, inclusion aspects, and trying to make sure that everybody who would like to enter a career in engineering, would like to learn about that, has the opportunity to. And so the Eta Kappa Nu students and program really encourages and fosters that, so that we can be using the students who are much closer to, you know, pre-U, sometimes high school students, much closer in age of them, inspire them in times of these careers. So it's really quite inspiring. The Eta Kappa Nu member is quite special, and they do go from college to, I know, 90-year-old members. So they all remember fondly their induction, but that call to service is very strong, which is why in the humanitarian space, in the diversity space, Eta Kappa Nu considers these really critical aspects of what we can do and work on as an organization.
Thanks, Nancy. So now I want to turn it to our our other two industrial panelists, Charlotte and Christopher, because most students, when I talk to students and I tell them what they need, they're like, well, you're a professor. They don't know anything. They want to hear from the people who are actually out there making the money. So can Charlotte and Christopher, you want to jump in about what diversity means at your institutions or what at your companies and some of the best practices or what they look for in students and how do you build that? So let's start with Charlotte.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you to all our panelists. I want to just emphasize something that Nancy just said that I just want to capitalize on. In industry, yes, we get a lot of resumes in. Everybody wants to be to work, and the one thing with HKN students is we already know. Coming in as an HKN student, you have the academics, but the important thing and the thing that the pandemic stresses is that these HKN students are not they do over and above. They think out of the box. When I think engineering, you have to think about solutions out of the box. So you have to have a very diverse set of people inside of engineering, but you also need leaderships in industry. Yes, we need to have the knowledge base, but you're working with a team of people. So we need outside of a controlled academic environment, you can work and engage with a global set of people. They're not all like you. They will be different. So we're also looking at over and above. Can you lead? Can you give back to the community? Or is it just not about you, but it's about the entire team? So the one thing again, is you always want the top students, right? You want them to, know the subject matter, but we also want you to be able to be diversified in the fact that not only academics, but what you're giving back.
Christopher?
Thank you, everybody, as well as the rest of my panel colleagues. I'd like to make one correction in my bio, if I may, is that I am the account manager for HV Sales company here in Houston, Texas. But the other part of my bio is that I am a mentor to about 5 to 6 young engineers that are articulating their way through both school as well as corporate America as a whole. And so from an industry standpoint, one of the things I look to, you talk about that character, is that sense of team unity, if you will. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be the only engineer designing this substation without any type of input from the rest of your colleagues. And if you come in with a mindset that I am the engineer who graduated with my 4.0 and I know everything, you are doomed to fail. And no smart manager is going to hire someone with that character flaw, if you will. They want to make sure that that person is able to get along with other team members. And so it's important to have that sense of understanding of both yourself and your capabilities, but also of others. And I think that that's a message that you can take throughout life, no matter if you're working in corporate America or doing something on your own. It is a team effort. And the better that you're able to understand that, the better that you're able to get a little bit closer to your goal and achieving them. So from an industry standpoint, it's very important, I think, for young professionals to get exposure and get exposure very early. And so that can come in a number of different ways, everything from, working on tough assignments, on projects, as well as working in the community. You may be surprised that they sometimes say that, networking is dead because you have LinkedIn and Monster and all these other different sources. But you may be also surprised that if you're targeting a specific type of company, you may have someone within IEEE that you can reach out to and share that you have an interest in that. And if they know your character in reference to working with you on a team standpoint, they'll be happy to step out and make that recommendation. And that's the first thing I tell everyone I work with. And I was just working with a young man today on blockchain management. And I said, well, IEEE is writing the standards on that. I said, but I would love to help you, but I need your help. He says, what's that? I need you to become an IEEE member first.
Oh, good thing, good thing. Christopher also gets the award for having the pin on. I see he's got a right pin on, so you.
The one other thing I will tell you is that I am unfortunate. I did not wear my Eta Kappa Nu shirt, but people who know me with an IEEE, I always get compliments on my bow tie. I am a big bow tie fan. So if you look at any of my pictures, it's normally me in a bow tie. So Nancy, I do wear an extra large.
So Nancy, buy him an HKN bow tie.
We'll have to get one of those.
Yes,
in.
yes.
We'll have to get a bow tie. We have a tie, not a bow tie. So Christopher, you could be spurring a whole new line in the education.
I love it. You got me signed up.
So at this time, this is all about the students. So if there's questions, feel free to unmute, and we wanted to engage with you. We're all about engaging, and we can just talk at you and give you advice, but we'd love to hear from you if there's questions or topics you want to talk about. So, I only see Panagas, so Panagas and Joe, but if Juanika and Elena want to talk, please join in, and we're here for you. So I'll start with Joe and Panagas. Is there any questions you want to ask us first?
Yeah, for sure. I guess this is a little bit more of a general question, but out of curiosity and in your opinion, and this could be a question about your experiences in IEEE or a different organization, but what is the role, do you perceive, of a professional organization in terms of inspiring diversity in a profession? That's
a good question. Who'd like to take it?
Well, Karen, I'd be happy to say a few words about this, because I am fortunate. I'm fortunate to work for IEEE and represent Eta Kappa Nu, and it's really quite a thrill to be able to do that. As the largest technical organization in the world, IEEE and Eta Kappa Nu both committed to that message of diversity and inclusiveness, because I think what we understand today in the complex problems that engineers need to solve, our world is quite complex, and the challenges are real. That it's going to take a diverse group of people, diversity in all senses of the word, diversity. And so inclusion and equity, being able to reach out and make sure we're bringing the very best, all the great ideas, all the people from their different experiences, that's broadly recruiting that talent to drive the innovation, remove those barriers so that we can solve those world problems is really critical. They're going to be solved by teams. I think, Charlotte, you mentioned this. We understand the concept of team science. You might be a double E, you might be a CE, you might be a CS, but or a mechanical, you're going to work on teams of lots of other engineers to solve problems. So that ability, and professional organizations teach you this, that ability to share leadership, to run meetings, to work on teams, to explain complex concepts if you're tutoring or teaching, if you're putting together programs, and how do you break that down? Again, that's solving world problems. It's also when you're in the workplace, how do you work with customers and with others that may not understand the engineering terms? How do you go out and communicate that? But to world's complex problems, either in a humanitarian, engineering challenges, the great engineering challenges, or you as a company, or you're in your own job, you're going to have to learn how to apply those kinds of things. And what better learning ground? I always say, learn it here, even make mistakes here. Come to your professional organization, your IEEE. If you're invited to join Eta Kappa Nu, that's wonderful, but get involved, because you're going to learn skill sets that'll be invaluable. There's no other better learning ground than this. You'll meet people who will advise you. You'll see mentors, people that inspire you. There's no better place for this. And like I said, it's a great place to test out all those skills, hone your communication skills, reach out and meet other people. And that networking, I can't say more about it. People do hire people they know and trust. If you, especially as a student, if you work at Eta Kappa Nu and IEEE, develop a strong network, you will not have any problem getting a job. And for young engineers, it's really tough once you leave school. You don't have professors to go to anymore to solve your problems. You're going to need mentors like Christopher does for some of his young people in the world of work. You're going to need others. And IEEE and Eta Kappa Nu are a place to find those. So don't just join, get involved.
Thank you, Nancy.
The other part of that, if you don't mind, Nancy, I'd like to follow up on that, is that there's no restrictions on you joining NSBE. There's no restrictions on you joining SHIP. There's no restrictions on you joining the American Asian Society or the American Indian Society, there's no restrictions on you joining those other organizations. And I think this is a great opportunity for you, especially in college, have that opportunity to join those organizations. Now, once you graduate in a professional like myself, it gets fairly expensive, but I belong to several infinity organizations, if you will. And so if you ask me on my taxes, I probably pay about $700 to $800 for all my memberships, and that's NSBE, SHIP, and a few others that I'm engaged in and I believe in. So
we get to write it off. We get to write it off.
well, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And so the other part of that for me is that, you know, when you join the Army, you're in the Army. I didn't join the Army of African Americans, or I didn't join the Army of whatever infinity organization. I joined the United States Army. And so I'm working with people from different backgrounds. Listen, I'm from Texas. And if it's not about barbecue or beef, then I probably have very little conversation. But being in the military, I also learned how I love sushi. And so people who know me, if we're going for sushi, I'm with you. But it's something that I had to acquire over time. And I highly encourage students to really take that opportunity, especially at your time of matriculation, to really expose yourself to different things very early. You'll be surprised how those skills will help you later on in life.
So that's a great question. I'm going to add on a few more points, great points, what Nancy and Dr. Chris said actually, right? So as a student, right, I mean, two things, two major advantage to being a part of the global organization like IEEE or HKN, right? I mean, the first thing is it provides a global platform for you, right? And it provides a portfolio of, programs and resources that you can leverage on. You don't need to now go and find if you want to connect to a mentor or find a mentor in a specific areas, now your possibilities are endless, right? I mean, you can find one in North America or maybe in Africa or in Asia Pacific, right? So it's pretty much, if 25 years back, if you ask that, right, it's pretty hard, right? I mean, we are all lived in a very closed community. But right now, with the kind of opportunity that IEEE and HKN is offering, the world itself become a very small community which can be connected in a Zoom call, right? So another second example I would say here is that my journey as a student with IEEE, like our HKN, I would say started as a student involved in developing technologies to help disabled children. Guess what? I met my fabulous mentor and my advisor in India. And where is she? She's right in front of you right now, Professor Karen Benita. Right? It's been 15 years, I mean,
Not that long.
Right?
And that was the first time I ever left the US. So, you talk
Right?
about ventures to new places. IEEE definitely did that for me.
Right. So think about also the second thing I'll tell you, right? I mean, first I worked on a project, for helping autistic kids in India. Then, I was able to then, together we were able to devise a software to track millions of disabled children in India. Now, over the years, I would get to work on a lot of problems across the world. My limit was not only focusing on India, but truly I settled down here in US. I started working on problems right now. Like, I would say it definitely increased the blast radius of your impact. As I speak today, my morning starts at 4 o'clock with a call in Africa where I'm working on a project in Uganda right now as I speak. And then, afternoon, again, I have another project in India. And then I work on my full-time job where I drive the next generation AI program. So this is really critical, right? I mean, if you go back 40, 50 years, it took exactly your lifetime to create such a kind of networking, and that only for very few people in certain roles actually, right? Now it's not the case. With the advent of technology and the opportunities that's offered by HKN and IEEE, this is a piece of cake for you all. That's one thing. The second thing is, think about the impact that you can make, right? Today you may be designing a senior project, but think about how about taking that project and trying to apply that for a different part of the world where you are not only solving a key challenge faced with the local community, but you're also contributing to the larger and the greater purpose of serving humanity. right? I tell this all the time, and student comes to me like they design a project. The first thing I want them to think about is think about porting of the solution to a totally different setup. If you can be successful in delivering that with minimal intervention, I feel that is a very important engineering or design skill. Like as an engineer, it reflects not only that you are best in your design, but also it reflects as a human that you have empathetic, you wanted to serve this grandest challenges across the world. So that's more emphasizing on the diversity aspect of it. So I would say, like, the $15 of what you invest today, to me, it's like an Amazon stock, like 20 years back.
Mhm.
It will come back to you with the invaluable, unmatched, experience,
Mhm.
which will, help you to contribute to the larger and the greater universal family.
Thank you, Sam. Anybody else want to chime in on the panel on that?
What I want to say is something that, when I remember, one of my fondest memories of IEEE was when I was with us as a student. And one of the reasons you join IEEE is to get access to the papers. And way back decades ago, you only could get, through the magazines and transactions, and you would read the paper, you had your advisor, and then you would read the authors. And, depending on your topical area, it may be, the same author is always there. And only through IEEE, there was this one gentleman in filter synthesis that I was able to meet in person at an IEEE conference. I mean, you're a student and you're meeting this guy who is like 5 or 6 paper, who is an expert in his field, and you're there shaking his hand, talking, and you start to network it with him, and you're able to communicate via email because he lived in the UK. But just the opportunity to do that, I would never had that opportunity. It would just been a name on a paper, but I got to meet him and start to communicate with him because of IEEE. So as Sam Pat said, it's just priceless. It really is. The little investment that you're making now is the opportunities you can make is just tremendous, So that was as a student. Diversity, I mean, we're all just on the panel, we're very diverse, by ethnicity, by gender and by subject matter, right? We have academia here, we have industry here, I heard power systems, we have Amazon, we have computer science, I'm in electromagnetics. Engineering in itself is very diverse. So we need to have many different societies, diverse societies. And maybe that's one of the reasons we have so many societies within IEEE. It's a very diverse area. You may think it's just electrical engineering, but there's just so many different areas that they integrate with each other. So they're not separate, they're actually connected entities. And you almost it's hard to know everything about everything, but through IEEE, you can gain connections and ask the experts directly. So lot of feedback from just being a member.
Other questions? You have other questions for us, Joe?
I guess I have a question. Coming back to like your previous talk, it was really eye-opening to see how like sometimes the result of a GRE or like a GPA is not necessarily representative of like the quality of the person. So coming as like leaders in the HKN chapters, and what advice do you have for board members when, for example, we initiate people in HKN, but for similar reasons, we do see a demographic that's not as representative because it is strongly currently on.
Right. We're based in so much tradition and operation, and we don't want to change. It's like changing the secret recipe to Coke, right? We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't touch it, it's sacred. So,
Yes.
and I think that's part of the thing is, HKN has evolved, number one. It used to be just electrical engineering. We're not, but yet the stigma still is you just electrical engineers. The other stigma I keep hearing about HKN is it's just for US students. And it's like, no, that's not true. So I think that, and the same thing with the GPA. So one of the things that we look at, like, a lot of times I will see lists of students that come in, as Krista was saying, they have the 4.0, But if I've been working with that student and I know, like, you know what, they might have a 4.0, but I know how they got there, and I wouldn't want to work with them, and other students don't want to work with them. Why are we inducting them to HKN? Because it's more than just the GPA. I think that we need to balance, you know, we need to be able to balance, like, if I see someone who is a huge volunteer, you know, working hard, you know, a great team person, to me, that outweighs the, oh, they got a B-, they didn't get an A+, you know, type of thing. And you know, it's, I can say it now because I'm a dean and I and IEEE fellow, but I was not inducted into HKN as a student at BU. So you know, so, but I worked jobs. I worked in Kenmore Square making subs for at 2, 3 in the morning for drunk patrons of the clubs next door to work my way through school. So, you know, I know from that experience that, okay, you know what, just because I was up all night and then, you know, work until 5 a.m. and then in a lab at 8 a.m. in the morning doing my labs, I knew that my grades weren't going to be great. But at the same time, everybody around me, even the students in HKN, I'm still involved in HKN with because my friends were, you know, all the 4.0 maniacs that had nothing to do but focus on school. They knew that I was smart. They knew that, you know, they wanted me there, and I would still do things with them. So I think that even if the pathway's not right there, then we have pathways in later. And that's what I really want to say is, but you know, until we look at the rules and say, well, you know what, they really should be considered what I would call, you know, well, should we look at these diversity cases? What are they doing? You know, do they have the capacity, or is it simply, yeah, they just slacking off and partying? Yeah, we don't, but that's not what HKN's about. So we have to start reviewing applications differently. And I don't know how strong the faculty advisor at your institution weighs in, but some of them are just very rigid. It's like, nope, I don't even want to care. I don't care if you've gone to save the world in third world countries or, you know, whatever. You don't have a 3.9, forget about it. And I think that that's a training and dissemination. When I talk about best practices, we really need to have this advisor training that not everybody is going to look the same. And how do we build in that respect and inclusion?
I would like to ask the question, what are the 3 characters again? I forgot of HKN?
Scholarship, attitude, and character. And they're
interesting.
equally applied.
Mm-hmm.
So again, scholarship is only but one measure, right? And again, you're measured not by GPA, but within your class. So it's essentially the top 25% of your junior class and the top third of your senior class. So again, it does vary by school, and it does give that opportunity. So it's not just a GPA number.
Right. In graduates,
all graduates, yeah, who have completed 1 semester at their school.
Right.
By virtue of the fact that you've been accepted into the program,
right,
they're eligible for EdCap. So there, like Karen said, there's lots of other pathways to EdCap. And there again, EdCap does ask more of you. So it's not just a measure of your grades. It is once you accept it's an obligation that you accept. It might be a recognition of hard work on one sense, but on the other sense is it's saying, okay, I'm accepting the responsibility to give back. I'm accepting the responsibility to help my chapter and my fellow students. So again, EdCap might only induct certain people, but EdCap is for everyone. And I mean that is that it's your job as EdCap leaders and as EdCap members to reach out and help others. And so it's not to educate each other. You're already all really good students. It's to go out and help the freshmen and sophomores, the transfer students, the people might be struggling with circuit design or need extra labs. Do the exam preps for students that really need it. So again, EdCap is about what you do for others, not about necessarily what you do for yourself. We all know when you do for others, you learn a lot of stuff. So actually you learn how to be humble. You learn how to be, to work with all kinds of other people. You learn how to organize your time in such a way and to work on explaining complex concepts. You learn your obligation is to go out into your communities and educate younger students, high school students. You have an obligation to make sure we're bringing diversity into engineering. So again, we're working with our chapters to go out to those community colleges and to make sure that people that are interested in engineering can make that jump. I know in New Jersey, you matriculate from a community college into the state universities, and other states are the same. And we're going out, we have several HBCUs, But again, working more in those communities, working more in communities where we know that there's interest, ability. And so EdCapNU really is about the obligation. So it is for everyone. You may not be inducted at EdCapNU as a student, but it is for everyone. And there is a pathway to professional membership as well. So I guess some people just get hung up on that honor society piece of it, because yes, people have earned it. And let me tell you, nobody gets to be in the top third of their junior class in any of your programs without working very hard. You have really shown your commitment to hard work. But those other two pillars are equally as important and should be applied equally in the consideration of who would, because not everybody who is invited joins, because some people don't want to take the obligation, and that's okay. Because there is a certain kind of person who accepts the responsibility, not just the honor, the responsibility of EdCapNU.
Thank you, Nancy. Did that answer your question, August?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Another question? Joseph, you want to ask another question?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. I guess while I have all of you here, all of you are involved on multiple levels when it comes to IEEE and IEEE-HKN, both on the regional level or in a more global perspective, and bringing it back down to us as a student chapter, both in terms of gaining resources and as well increasing our outreach on a local or global level. What's the best ways that us as student leaders can interface with these local and global initiatives and levels to try and further our reach and encourage diversity and outreach in our community?
Well, Good. Well, I was just going to say, as in the Boston section, and those of you that are here in the Boston section, we always invite students to come in, and we have the AI webinar, joint webinar series going on right now with HKN. And, you know, we've had unbelievable leaders. I just did interviewed the CTO of Ford 2 weeks ago, you know, who's a diversity candidate himself. And he really was wonderful. And to show these wonderful role models, I think is great. And this is another way for you to interact. So I would start with the Boston section, just get involved there and, you know, reach out, and I'll connect you. So that's one way. Or if you're in a different area, we can always connect you with that section as well. But I'll let my colleagues answer the rest. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, being that I wear multiple hats within IEEE, I am the Houston section chair, which means I have responsibility of about 4,000 to 5,000 members. I am also the South area chair, which is all the sections in the state of Texas, which is about 25,000.
Christopher, what mute on me? Did anybody else lose them or just me?
I can hear him.
Okay, good.
Okay, so for me, so when I'm out visiting those campuses, in order for me to purchase the pizzas and the sodas, is that my expectation is that everyone is included, both members as well as non-members. And so that invite goes out to all those other Infinity organizations as well as on campus, because what better opportunity you have to show your sincere appreciation for diverse opportunities within your organization, to invite others to show this is what we do from an organization and learn from others what they do. And so I am a big believer in inclusion on all levels, as well as diversity on all levels. And I think that the only way you're going to get there is you have to practice it.
Yeah. So one thing I would like to add here is that, you know, like all these programs, like whether it's IEEE or HKN, right? It makes you to think globally and act locally, right? It prepares you, right? You are a part of a global citizen, but you need to have the right skills, which can deliver solutions not only for your you know, local community, but also for the larger global community at large. You know, there are two quick opportunities at least I can point out right now for the purpose of this panel, is that now if you have a passion towards, you know, helping you know, a marginalized population, that you want to like bring a difference in the living conditions, go and join site. Like you can be an HKN member. Site is basically free. It's called a special interest group on humanitarian technology. So what it provides you is that it provides you the opportunity for you to collaborate with your local community, understand their needs, and then maybe you will also get an opportunity to work with the local nonprofit or government organizations. And then you can start seeing what kind of technology you can develop to address the challenges. And maybe you could then put up a proposal which could be funded by the Humanitarian Activities Committee, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is today we also provide a lot of educational resources in terms of, if you go to IEEE Learning Network today, we provide a lot of curriculums and courses which you can take actually free, for free actually, right? And that actually will teach you the best way for you to design and deliver technology based humanitarian engineering programs, right? So that's the second aspect of it. And third thing is about visibility. We provide a lot of cover story or spotlight stories about the students who are working on amazing projects centric to addressing the sustainable development challenges. So if you have already done a great project, write to us, we'll love to promote it, right? One example I would like to call out here is that last year we received about more than 249 projects for HAC, and we funded over 100 projects. This year, we just have a first call for where we received more than 156 proposals, historic growth in the last 10 years. Now, we are going to have multiple call fairs again for funding. So look for it closely. And in fact, like a couple of weeks back, I was there on the HKN Chapel Leaders Call where I openly said, like, if you have like an interest to work on this kind of projects, write to Nancy and me. We are looking to create, nurture, mentor, and support the next generation HKN members. I feel like that's my responsibility as a senior HKN member right now, to give it back to you. So definitely, there are plenty of opportunity where we'll love to help you out. So that's one aspect. The second aspect, there's a lot many more projects. I wish I am a student again right now because the possibilities are enormous, right?
No, you don't want to be poor again, Sam. Come on.
Well, but I spent 20 hours again in the lab learning cool stuff, right? Right. So I enjoy that. What more? Do you have an amazing, mentor and advisor as well? What more I can not ask for, right? So you have programs like IEEE, EPICS in IEEE, right? Where you wanted to apply your engineering skills to, for community service. Like all these programs, if you take, it provides again a larger alignment with the larger mission of HKN and IEEE. Right? So if you're a student, the ask is very simple. Hey, you have an interest or a passion? Here you go. You can work on a real world project and we can even fund you. Even for that for successfully delivering the project. Now you have global awards that you are eligible to be applied or nominated for. Second thing is you can now find a mentor when you are still in your university taking your undergraduate programs, right? So your transition to industry is going to be very smooth because you gain the skills, you already have mentors, and then you are going to be a rock star in the first few years itself. And all this package comes for free. If you take HKN, it's like one-time investment of the $60. And then like for lifelong, you have an army of people like Dr. Chris, or Dr. Karen, or Nancy, or Dr. Charlotte, or myself. You have this huge network which you can tap into. The only thing that's needed from you is basically the first step, that you want to be part of the organization, and don't afraid to ask. The worst thing that's going to happen is that people may say like, hey, I don't have time to support you right now, but that doesn't mean the door is closed, right? So you have the enormous possibility here. I would say, it's like you are holding the Aladdin's golden lamp. You have to make your wish list and tap in the genie here. The genie is the HKN here. So.
Well, thank you, Sam. That's so nice of you to say. But I think Sam, you made a really good point. Is that look at the network, look at the camaraderie, even in this panel, and it's because we share experience, we share a passion for something. It's IEEE, it's Eta Kappa Nu, and because and that group is open to you. So again, being involved with groups, this one if it's the right one for you, or others that bring this to you. Eta Kappa Nu is a lifetime designation. It's not a membership per se. Once you're inducted Eta Kappa Nu, you're always Eta Kappa Nu. So think about the possibilities of who's Eta Kappa Nu. I mean, we can name some very famous people that are Eta Kappa Nu. Larry Page, founder of Google, was the president of his chapter at the University of Michigan. And I could spend a lot of time naming others, but there are people that invented everything that you can imagine, from the Ethernet to the handheld cell phone, that were at a Kappa Nu. And they're part of the same group that you're part of. And isn't that exciting and interesting? And you know what? You're going to be that. As a student today, you're going to be that. So that network is available to you. But I guess you tell me, Joe, you tell me one of your greatest experience was going to the Eta Kappa Nu SLC and who you met and networking with chapters around the world and other leaders. Charlotte, you mentioned it as your IEEE first conference. So again, these unique opportunities are available through professional associations, through our organizations. And they're exciting and they do work. You might not, sometimes people don't look back and realize where that happened or how that happened, where the aha came from. But the people that you meet, the Karen Panetta that inspires you as a young student in India, who becomes the Dean of Engineering at Tufts, and 15 years later is still a mentor to you, and to the two young girls that you have in your life, Sam, the young women that you want to empower, your two little beautiful daughters who want to inspire to become the best that they can be through programs like what Karen has developed in Nerd Girls, through how Christopher inspires young people, goes back. He said to me, Nancy, he said to me a couple of years ago, Nancy, I really want to make a difference. And he said, you know what he does? He does it. He doesn't just say it, he goes out and he does it. And that's the kind of people you'll find within these organizations. So again, it's not just joining, it's not just belonging, it's really doing, putting some time in. It does take some time. It does take some commitment. If you're willing to put in the time, this will come for you. It's really such a wide, wonderful world of opportunities, a great expansive network of amazing people. You do have to put the time in, but it's there. And I promise you it works.
I just want to say one thing on that one was, you don't want to just join, you want to engage, you want to get involved. I mean, whatever you put in, you will get back at least tenfold. So you don't just want to say, okay, I want to become, you don't want to get inducted, or you just don't want to join and say, okay, I got my membership there. You actually want to go and do something, whether you ask a question or your hand is up and you want to get involved. You know, there's passive devices and there's active devices. Guess what? We all want to have active, right? You want to amp it up a bit.
Thank you. Well, that was a good closer. If I like that, I'm going to steal it, Charlotte. So, Joseph, you want to close us today? We're coming with 1 minute left. I don't know if you want to close the panel.
Yeah, sure. First and foremost, thank you everyone for attending. This was so much fun, and it was great hearing all of your perspectives about not just IEEE, but the benefits of being involved in a greater organization. I think a chief takeaway we can get from this conversation is, first and foremost, network, network, network. You're never going to know who you're going to meet behind those doors of that conference or in that meeting at an IEEE chapter or whatever. And also, second most, you get out what you put in. So don't be afraid to step up and make your voice heard, whether you're a student, a professional member, alumni, whenever you're inducted into a society like IEEE-HKN, that's your home now, and you should treat it as such. So thank you, everyone. And I look forward to working with you closely in the years to come. And I hope a lot of people watch this recording and get some great feedback from all of your experiences. So thank you once more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to everyone. And thanks to IEEE-HKN chapter for having us today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Thanks a lot for your wonderful efforts. Really amazing to meet you today. Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah. Talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye now.